We got work to do.
Welcome to Highway to Hell, a supernatural podcast. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Christine.
And this week we're discussing the season 4 finale, Lucifer Rising.
Fuck.
Oh my God.
Dude.
Well, Christine and I actually watched this together about 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
And even though I've seen this episode multiple times at this point in my life, I literally had goosebumps at the end. Like I raised my arm and I had goosebumps. Yeah. I love this season finale so much.
It was really good. It was really good. They did such a good job. And even like I had that appreciation for it the first time I watched it, but then I watched it again by myself and caught even more things that made me feel even more that way. It was just like, I don't know. Is this the time to talk about directing?
I was just thinking about the directing. It was amazing.
It was so good.
Yeah.
The devices that they used right off the bat, I already loved in that first scene how we see the priest's eyes with the demon going into him, and then it switches over to him during the daytime.
Yes.
But it's still just his eyes that it's focused on.
It's very horror. It was very horror. Yeah, It was good.
And then the first time we see Sam where it's like all blurry and then his face like slowly comes into focus, but it's only his face. Mm-hmm. That was beautiful. And they kind of did the same thing with Dean.
I didn't notice it the first time when we watched it together, but yeah, I noticed that they did the same exact thing with Dean, and I loved that.
I didn't notice that the first time either. Yeah, it was really cool. And the fucking nun on the altar speaking.
Yes. And
was so creepy and cool.
The added effect that she or detail that she was like laying upside down.
Yes. And kind of like twitching.
And twitching.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like her body wasn't fully like come to life. You know, it was literally Lucifer speaking through a dead body.
Yeah.
Which was creepy.
Oh my God. And the woman who played, I think it was probably a combination of her being good and good directing, but the woman who played the demon nurse, I don't remember her name, the actual demon name.
They called her like Lilith's nurse or something like that.
Yeah. Did they even say her name? I don't know. But she was so good.
She was really great. Yeah. I had forgotten. Oh, yeah. Her name is Juliana Wimbles. They call her Demon Nurse / Cindy McKellen because that's the human's name. But she was amazing. Like she did that switch over to helpless, innocent individual so well. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I recognize her from off the top is Josie and the Pussycats.
Oh, is she in that? Man, I saw that when it came out eons ago.
Well, I think it's a small part. It says Megastore Girl. I wonder if she's like one of the girls who's like buying one of the Josie and the Pussycat albums, and they're like,
"Oh yeah, maybe."
Oh my God, I love it. But otherwise, a lot of like murder stuff. Wait, maybe not. It's called Murder She Baked. What the fuck? What is that?
That sounds like a spoof on Murder She Wrote.
Murder She Baked, a chocolate chip cookie mystery.
Cute. That sounds really
cute. There's like several of them like that. Holy shit, I need to watch this.
Two of my favorite things, murder and cookies.
If you guys don't remember what this episode was about, though, and what happens, when the last few of the 66 seals are broken by Lilith's minions, Sam and Dean prepare for the big and probably futile fight in very different ways. Sam joins Ruby on a final attempt to kill Lilith before Lucifer rises, while Castiel and Zachariah tell Dean that it's time to play his part in stopping Lucifer.
That was a really good one, actually. I liked that.
Right? It
synopsis.
was
Yeah.
by like Mark_Z on IMDb, and
Get it,
he did a
Mark?
really good job. I know.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't give anything away, you know?
Right.
It's like,
Right. It's still, but it explains a lot, which is
yeah,
good because there's a lot of shit that happens in this episode, too.
there is a lot that happens.
They packed so much in.
A lot of exposition,
Hmm.
but it didn't feel like boring at all, you know? Like it was just like what
Yeah.
you said what?
Yeah.
Like and then what? What?
Hmm.
It was very exciting.
Yeah. I think I was telling you, like, it did, like, there was a lot of exposition, but it wasn't like overtly so. So it wasn't like, I'm going to tell you everything about what's happening now. You know, it kind of like came from different people or at different times. And so it's kind of spread out. And so we learned a lot just by them telling us, obviously, but it wasn't like, I'm going to tell you the whole story now and make this really obvious that that's what I'm doing so that you understand what's happening.
Right. Well, and so the biggest thing of this episode really is the reveal that Ruby hasn't been good all along.
She's been a
I kind of
straight
asked,
bitch.
yeah, she
Straight
was a lying
lying.
bitch, just like Sam says. Um, and I
Fucker.
asked you like right after our watch, but like you, like, were you expecting this, or did you did you? I feel like throughout the past two seasons, you didn't trust her too much.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, we did talk about it a little bit, and like even the more recent episodes, I still felt like she was hiding something. Like there's got to be something. There's something weird about you. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah.
But um yeah, I still didn't fully trust her. So, I some part of me did kind of expect this to happen. I wasn't really so much expecting it, but like if that happens, I'm not going to be surprised. You know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like it felt totally within the realm of possibility that she could still turn out to be it. That there could be a double cross or something.
Yeah. I feel like this points to the fact that you really are Dean and I really am Sam, because I was totally gullible on my first watch, and I was like, yeah, I trust her. I trust her. Why not? You know,
Sure.
she's a demon, but she can change, right? You know.
That's awesome.
So this was like a huge surprise to me, and it was like, what? Oh my god, no! You know.
It was amazing.
So, uh, in the Supernatural Official Companion by Nicholas Knight, it says that Eric Kripke admits that right from Katie Cassidy's first appearance as Ruby in The Magnificent Seven, we always knew she was this double agent who was playing Sam. Bob Singer says that was, yeah, pretty much our plan all along. That's exactly what we wanted to do. And the both of them took great pleasure in stringing along the fans. They said, we were grinning because we knew we were holding on to this card, and we read online where the fans are discussing and debating turn page, whether she's evil or really good, or what her true motivations are. And we knew the whole time. So to finally turn over that card in Lucifer Rising was really a lot of fun. I
Haha.
bet.
Yeah, I bet.
I bet
Like,
that was
guess
fun.
what, everybody?
Like a big fuck you to the people, those people
Yeah.
like me who believed in everything.
Fucking guess what? Yeah,
Oh my god.
that would have been fun.
Um, but it was a great reveal. I mentioned last episode at the very end that this episode has one of my favorite line deliveries ever, and
It was
it's
really good.
it's
You're right.
it's so good. I love it. I
Hmm.
love Ruby's entire rant at the end.
Yeah.
Um, and I did pull that clip because I have to listen to it again.
Good.
So this episode was written and directed by Eric Kripke, which is probably why it's so goddamn awesome. But I feel like he upped his game though with the directing for sure. We talked a little bit about that, but I don't know that he had like explored all of those devices or just been as creative as he was in this episode and previous season openers and finales, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So he's definitely growing into his own.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I have a bit more production info, but for later on in the episode. But do you have anything before we get into it?
No, not really. We didn't have any new music. We had Carry On My Wayward Son, which was used very well in the very first part, the recap.
Yes.
Um, but we've talked about that before, so I'll pass this time. But
That sounds
man,
good. Yeah.
it was really good with the recap because it's also like they time one of the beats in the song with the closing of the door when Sam closes the door, so it was just really like intense.
Yeah. It's done really well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean that's where we start with Carry On My Wayward Son playing, and we get this recap of basically just Sam and Dean kicking ass in season 4. Like
Lots of ass.
shooting guns, hitting stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just like being badasses. Um, and then we see, of course, that we meet Castiel. He's an angel. And just the major thing, Sam has demon blood in him. Lilith is trying to break the 66 seals, and Sam has been drinking blood to increase his powers. And then we see, of course, what we last left off with Sam and Dean fighting about it, literally like physically fighting. And then Dean just lying on the floor saying in such a broken voice, one, because his ribs are probably broken by
Right,
Sam.
like literally broken.
Right. And two, just emotionally broken. You walk out that door, don't you ever come back. Um, and hold on, I want to get her name.
Okay.
Um, so on Twitter, AVDemo531 said, "Hey ladies, just a tidbit about the fight scene between Dean and Sam. The saddest part of the fight for me has always been the line Dean says to Sam, if you ever walk out that door, don't you ever come back. That's the last thing John said to Sam before he left and went to college." So,
Yeah. So when we were watching it and together, and there was that part where Dean says it feels like deja vu all over again, we were like, oh, it is deja vu.
it
Fuck.
is. It is. But
It's
I
so,
love
yeah, how
that
they
Bobby
brought
is
that
like,
around.
but that Bobby is like, no, we're going to change this history of events.
Yes. You're not your dad. You're better than your dad. Ugh. Anyway.
I love Bobby.
I do too. It was really good. And yeah, and that's just really sad. And Dean, I guess, was like, you know, he freely admits he wants to be John, basically, but this is something he should not want to be, not want to
Yeah.
do.
No.
So,
So we start the episode off. The title card says St. Mary's Convent, Ilchester, Maryland, 1972. And it's really interesting because a small thing that I did read off of Supernatural Wiki, but I wasn't able to look into, says there is a St. Mary's College in Ilchester, Maryland, known as the Hell House. There is a legend
what?
about a priest who, in a fit of insanity, hanged 5 young girls facing one another around a pentagram and then shot himself.
Shut the fuck up. Really?
Yeah. Hold on. I got scared because the dog started barking right at that moment.
You're so ridiculous.
Did you see the fear and panic in my
I heard
eyes?
a dog bark and you were like,
It's the priest. It's the priest come to get me.
Well, what the fuck? Really?
Well, and then it goes on to
Oh
say,
my God.
people believe the building is haunted by the girls. Sometimes at night, you can still hear their tortured screams.
Oh my
And
God.
there's a cold spot at the top of the huge stairs. So,
No. Yeah, that's a big hell no.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
So creepy.
When was that? Do you know when that happened?
I wasn't able to, it didn't say a date, and the link that's attached isn't working.
Oh.
So
That's okay. look into it. That's really interesting.
Do some Googling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So in this St. Mary's convent, though, we see we see like from our vantage point a camera traveling down a corridor, and it's traveling pretty fast. We later find out it's like demon smoke basically traveling down that corridor.
Mhm.
And then it breaks through a door where a priest is standing on the other end. And all of a sudden, the smoke injures him. The priest starts screaming. And we have that cut of the priest screaming, and it's like really up close to his face. And then, yeah, like you mentioned, it just cuts to the priest, super calm, and delivering a service to a group of nuns.
So good.
So good. So I loved this line. He's like doing his little service, and he's like, "Hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, blah blah blah."
I was like, wait a second.
And yeah, the nuns are like, "What? Like, what did he say?" But then the priest goes on this like really very very calm rant.
Mm-hmm.
About looking for his father. He's walking around the room and he locks the door. And the nuns, yeah. And the nuns like they start it's so hard to watch because they start like realizing what's going on slowly while he's talking.
Mm-hmm.
He says something about well, really, it's my father that I'm talking about. See, he's in jail, and your father put him there. And then a nun speaks up, and then he yells at her to, shut your pie hole, you little slut, or something like that.
Oh shit!
I know, and she like starts crying.
Yes.
And he turns back to the altar, and his eyes turn yellow. So it
Say
means
what?
He says, "Oh, what the fuck? What are you doing here?" And he grabs a knife from out of his coat. And then we cut to outside the door and hear the nun screaming. And the camera backs away into the corridor again and then turns onto like an angel praying.
Yeah.
Which is another really interesting shot.
Yeah. The way that whole thing was shot. Loved it.
And what the hell? Like, why? I thought we were done with Azazel. What? Like,
I know. Well, and I guess, I mean, it's back in time, but so it's like 1972 or whatever. But
yeah.
But what? Why does anything he did in 1972 matter? Like, what the fuck are you saying? Aren't we done with like the special children storyline?
Yeah, exactly. It's like really
Isn't this
surprising.
like over? Yeah, that was really surprising.
So we get the credits. And then we see that shot of Sam coming into focus. He looks very sad. He's standing outside a remote farmhouse, and Ruby comes out and asks how he's doing. But Sam says that he's fine. He doesn't want to talk about it. And Ruby says what Dean said was wrong to him. And Sam says, no, he's not. And Ruby says that they'll make up. They always do. And Sam mentions that she talks like they have an after, like he has an after. So he's basically like going into this Lilith fight, like I'm going to die after this.
Yeah.
Which is realistic, I guess,
Yeah, but sad. He's like resigned to that.
Yeah. And she tells him not to talk like that. And then Sam starts to get a little misty-eyed as he describes that he can feel it inside of him. Which I was surprised, but because then he says he's changed for good.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, because it, like, describing it feels like it's very negative. He's talking about like this demonic thing inside of him, right?
Yeah.
But he's saying, no, this is good.
Oh, no, I think
like,
he was saying like it's changed for good. Like not like it's a good thing, but like it's a done thing.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Like he's changed forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
There's no going. And then he goes, there's no going back now.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah, and it's also very sad.
It is, and it's very sad for Sam. He does get teary-eyed here.
And it was interesting too because I felt
throughout the
like,
entire thing.
sorry, like in the last episode they were talking about like how he's a monster now and he's like changed, but this sort of like confirms it almost, like if Sam is the one saying like I can tell that I've completely changed and there's no going back, like now he thinks that of him too. And that sucks. I'm not sure what that means, especially if, since he does have an after.
And it's funny though, because I still think after what we see in this episode that hasn't completely changed. He's still,
Yeah.
obviously he's still feeling all of these emotions, but he obviously makes a really terrible choice that I didn't realize. I didn't like get the full gravity of it when we were watching it, just me and you. But he kills that girl.
Same.
And drinks her blood.
Yeah, same. I didn't really get that when we were watching either, because I think we had been talking about something that he said or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he makes the decision for that to happen. And that was very, very dark.
Yeah. And that, I think it's that decision that makes him get those black eyes, right? I mean,
pushed him over the edge.
Right. It's insane. Oh my God. We have so much to talk about.
Yeah.
So he knows what he has to do. And he's just saying that Dean's better off as far away from him as possible. And they get inside her car and leave. So we switch over to Dean and we see a similar shot of him comes into focus. He's looking out the window, very sad. And Bobby brings him back to Earth, and Dean says he's not calling him, though Bobby insists because that's his brother right there. That's his family. And Dean says Sam never wanted to be part of this family. He ran away to Stanford. Now it's all deja vu all over again. He's just totally pissed at Sam. And he says he can do whatever he wants. I'm not even sure he's still my brother now, if he ever was.
I don't know. I mean, I felt like I don't think he really believes this. Like he's saying he believes this and like he means it. But I think it's just him like working through his feelings, because Bobby's able to pretty easily convince him, like, just be nice to him and try again.
Dean's way of like dealing with his feelings is repression, like 100%.
Yeah. Exactly.
And Bobby gets real pissed off at that. He throws stuff off of his desk, and he calls Dean a stupid son of a bitch. And he says, "Are you under the impression that family is supposed to make you feel good?" And Dean says he told him to walk out, and he did, And Bobby says, "Dean sounds like a whiny brat." No, you sound like your dad.
Damn.
I know.
Damn.
And he's like, your dad was a coward. And Dean looks like really upset.
Yeah.
Like he's like
kind of pissed.
My dad was a lot of things, but not a coward. What the hell? Mm-hmm. And Bobby explains he'd rather push Sam away than reach out to him. You are a better man than your father. Don't be him.
And then they show Dean's face and he looks like that cut to the core of him.
Yeah, but I actually took a screenshot of the face he makes like right before, like right as Bobby is saying that. I just sent it to you because it's just this face where he's like what are you saying? Like he doesn't believe it. And yeah, I don't know. I loved it.
Yeah. It's like he's having a hard time believing it. He's almost like, don't say that or something, like I thought I was just as good as he was or something.
Yeah. Especially after what he had to go through with Alistair telling him like, well, we tried to crack your dad and he never did in hell and you did.
Right. So he doesn't necessarily believe he's a better man. He doesn't think he's
No. So Dean turns to look at the window again, but when he turns back, he's startled. He walks forward. Bobby's gone. His house is gone. And he's in some fancy ass, like what I described it, a Versailles room.
Yeah.
And And actually, you made a comment while we were watching this together that it was like the room in 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's slightly similar to that, but also what got me was just the way that they did that scene because, Dean's looking out the window and then he turns around and he's in a different room. It's immediate, it's very like sudden and weird. And the scene at the end of 2001: A Space Odyssey, the main character is going through like a series of um it's like his existence is sped up. So each time the room changes or there's a change like that, he's like 40 years older or something. So he'll just
Mm.
like turn around. He'll be like eating and he'll turn around and look. And so he sees himself laying on the bed. And then it turns to that. And that's reality now. So it's like this whole shift in like what's happening.
So, and actually, on Supernatural Wiki, they do say the green room visually references the room in which Dave wakes up in the final segment of 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is called Jupiter and the Infinite Beyond, and which represents some realm beyond the mortal.
Well, there you go. That's so
Yeah, and they
funny. I
have a
didn't know that
picture
was
of it,
actually
and
what
it's like, yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, because it's got like that gold, like kind of all the decoration around like the edge of the room and stuff, right? Does it have that? That's
Yes.
so funny.
Yeah, it does. And then also in the official companion, it says that our art director, John Marcinuk, designed the beautiful room. We did a lot of research, looked at a lot of European palaces, and we ended up using the Palace of Versailles as our jumping off point. Uh, we just took a color palette and a lot of the moldings and we overscaled everything. We get a lot of compliments on that set, and John pretty much designed it from scratch. It was very much a departure from what we normally do, which is a rundown place and scary houses and motels and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It really was fantastic in there.
That's so
So it is
cool.
beautiful.
Yeah.
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 And we kind of like, I don't know if we really got to the matter. I thought I would find it right here on, Supernatural Wiki, like where the green room
Where he
exists.
is.
Is
Mhm.
is it in heaven? Is it kind of like what's the place called?
Purgatory.
Not wait, yeah, maybe. Yeah,
The in
purgatory.
between heaven and
Like the
hell. Yeah.
waiting, yeah, the waiting area basically. Is it that? Is it just another dimension that's not either?
Yeah. I don't know. That was sort
You
of the
know?
question in 2001, too. Because he's in space and then all of a sudden he's in this room. Where the hell is this?
Yeah.
Where am I? What's happening? Somewhere beyond the realm of the mortal.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's an accurate description here too.
Yeah. Wherever that is.
Well, Cass is there though, and he says it's almost time.
All right. Whatever.
So I know. So we cut to the hospital where Lilith's demon nurse uses the word scrumptious to describe the
God damn
baby
it.
she starts to kidnap. I
She's so
know.
gross.
It's so gross. It's so gross. But she slammed against the wall with one wave of Sam's hand like nothing. And he says that they need to talk. I also took a screenshot of this because Sam looks pretty damn smug with
Oh,
himself
yeah.
when he, when he like uses his powers on
When we
her.
were watching it and he walked in, we were both like, oh my God, you are so full of yourself right now.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
I
Look at that
I think the
smug
boys
ass
both were
face.
yeah. They were so beautiful in this episode. They
Oh.
just had the best faces
Yeah, I'm
and
telling you, the directing, the lighting, and everything, they just look so good. I mean, it helps that they're
they
pretty
knew
to begin
exactly
with,
how to light them.
but
Right.
and I was going to say there was another cool directing thing that I noticed in this scene, which is that the demon gets slammed up against the wall, and then you're looking at her from the end of this like hallway, and then Sam walks in front of the camera, like in front of her, and her eyes are black, and as Sam walks in front of her and moves aside, they're normal. And he
Wow.
moves pretty quickly, so it's just like kind of in a split second that they change, but you don't see it.
God,
It was cool.
they're so on
I
it.
know. It was really cool.
So we go back to the Versailles room. I had it there like that before I started using the green room.
So you knew
And
too.
Dean investigates. Yeah,
That's
it
so
just felt like Versailles. Yeah,
totally.
and I was just there, so I
Yeah,
was
you're
like,
like,
oh
I've
yeah,
seen that room.
been here, whatever.
No big
No,
deal.
and there's like a bunch of Renaissance paintings also up on the wall, which I thought was really interesting because like they're all kind of like happy and like fat angels floating in space and all of this stuff. But then later on, of course, they changed to like apocalypse and the other side of the Renaissance, basically.
Yeah.
um,
Again, a cool directing thing.
so very cool. And he turns around for 1 second, but looks back to a table in the middle of the room to find a bowl of ice cold beers and a tray of hamburgers.
A pile
And
of burgers.
yes, as if like maybe Dean could down all of those beers, but as if he could like eat all of the hamburgers.
Yeah, no. He'd get halfway through. Could probably still eat a
Yeah.
lot. But
Yeah.
and then be done.
And Zachariah and Cass appear, and Dean makes a Sweet Life of Zach and Cass joke, which is a nod to the Disney Channel TV show Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
Which is kind of silly.
I
of
know.
all of the references they could
I
make, like why even bother with that one?
Like, does Dean watch the Disney Channel? He knows of Sweet Life.
I don't know.
You know?
Maybe. Yeah, how does he know this?
Because like I didn't even like I was too old to watch it.
Me too. I didn't watch it.
But I was young enough. Also, I had a younger brother who like loved it. So where I know all of those actors and stuff. And actually the mom is gonna come out later on in the series. She's a big
really?
character in the series, actually.
That's funny.
Yeah,
it almost made me wonder like if Jensen had ever done anything on it or something. Or had any involvement. I don't know.
God, I wonder. No, I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head, but
it's just a weird reference. It's like, okay.
I know. So Zach looks confused. And Dean doesn't even try to explain. And I'm gonna refer to Zachariah as Zach from now on because it's easier to say. Zach calls the room a green room, and he says to try a burger. They're his favorite from Sea Shack in Delaware, which I loved. And we got into this little discussion while we were watching about what would be on our tray, essentially. And of course, Christine, you said something so sweet and just beautiful. And I was like, I would have chili cheese fries from my favorite place.
I loved that conversation. Because you were so earnest about you love chili cheese fries.
I love chili cheese fries so much to the point where like
but then you
had caught me like, Googling chili cheese fries at work just so I could see a picture of them. I miss them.
It was so funny. I miss them. Whenever I'm not eating them, I miss them. But then you did start talking about like chili cheese fries that you have had in the past at this place in California, and they were like the best, and you just loved them. So like that would be in your dinner. Totally makes sense.
Yes, it was. I just found it. It's on Imperial Highway in Downey, California. It's called Boyd's Burger. And they just had it. It wasn't even like they had amazing chili cheese fries. It's just that they were delicious, and they're very. If you're from California, they're very similar to Tam's fries and chili cheese fries. Oh, my stomach is grumbling. It's so good.
I love that.
But yeah, I can't find those fucking chili cheese fries here. So,
That's just so sad.
I know.
I'll help you.
Well, the closest
you in your
thing,
hunt for the best
closest thing
douchebag.
is Chester's. That's the closest
I
thing.
was gonna say,
Yes.
I bet Chester's has some really
They're
good
pretty
ones.
good.
Ugh, so good.
So, then Zach says like something really gross. He's like, "How about Ginger from Gilligan's Island?" And they'll throw in Marianne for free.
Ugh, this
I
guy,
know.
he's really,
Is this how heaven functions? Like,
I don't know. He seems weirdly immoral for an
for
angel.
real. So they say the reason why they have him there is they need to keep him safe before the big finale. All of the seals have fallen except one. And Dean, of course, makes a snide comment like, "What the fuck? You guys kind of suck at this," right?
Mm-hmm.
And Zach says, "You think sarcasm's appropriate, do you? Considering you started all this?" Oh.
Fuck you, dude.
Ooh,
Fuck you.
my God. I felt
Yeah.
so much for Dean in that moment.
Me too, because I realized, like, when we were watching it, like, that's the first time anyone's made Dean feel bad about it.
Yeah.
The dude went through, what was it, 40 years of torture before breaking down.
Mhm.
And I feel like you can't give him a hard time for that. 40 years is a very long time.
Right. Where the
To be
fuck?
tortured endlessly.
Where were you guys trying to save him if that was the case?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Shitty.
So Zach says, "But the final seal, it'll be different. Lilith has to break it. She's the only one who can, and it's going to be midnight tomorrow night." And Dean asks how they can stop it. But Zach says they'll give him the plan when it's time, and tells him to obey. And Cass looks very uncomfortable.
No.
I know, fuck you.
Yeah.
But Cass is like very uncomfortable, but he doesn't say anything. He's like, "Yeah, we gotta obey."
Mm-hmm.
So
Messed up.
back at the abandoned farmhouse, Sam has the demon tied down, and she mentions, there's no devil's trap. Like, where is it? And Sam says he doesn't need one anymore. So fucking Sam, man.
Shit.
I feel like that him being locked away and being kept away from demon blood, like it didn't stop him at all from, it didn't set him back.
Yeah, that's true. It didn't. He went right back to normal level.
Right, which is interesting the way that worked. And Sam asks where Lilith is, but she won't say. So he begins to torture her with his powers.
She's unfortunately a great screamer.
Yeah. And back in the green room, Dean makes a call to Sam. He leaves him a voicemail that he's still pissed, but he shouldn't have said what he said. He's not dad. He says, "We're brothers, family. No matter how bad it gets, that doesn't change." And then he says, "Sammy, I'm sorry." But it cuts off like right at that moment.
Yeah, it's like, beep.
It's so...
I watched it this morning with John, that part, and he was like, as soon as it cut off, he was like, "I wanted to tell him to hurry up, talk faster." It's going to cut you off.
It's so funny. Dean is so good at talking at a cell phone.
Yeah.
He's so good at it.
Technically by himself.
Right.
To himself.
It's amazing. Yeah. Jensen is very talented in that area.
Yeah. It's just... You were like, Dean has the saddest phone calls.
He does. He does, because I just think of season 1 where he's like, "Dad, I need you. Where are you?" Which is funny because Chuck just mentioned it, right? When he was like, "Oh, no, not Chuck, but the publisher." The publisher, when she's like, "Oh, I love it when the boys cry." When Dean makes that tearful phone call to John, and it's like, it was really good. It was.
It was really good and really fucking sad.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished, everybody. Oh, God.
So back with Sam, the demon continues to scream, and she agrees to tell him where she is, where Lilith is. The demon says, "Tomorrow night, at midnight. She's going to be in a convent, St. Mary's, Ilchester, Maryland. And it's funny because, like, knowing now what we know, right, that we're trying to lead Sam to Lilith, it did seem like this was pretty easy.
Like it was kind of set up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wondered about how much the nurse demon knew. It was really hard to tell, and I didn't come to a conclusion because I don't know if she was actually, because when he tortured her to ask what the last seal was and she said, I don't know, was she maybe just like really in on it and she just knew not to tell him?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who else besides Azazel and Lilith actually knew that it was Lilith who was the final seal.
And Ruby.
And Ruby, right. So maybe that part was being kept. But they knew.
Yeah.
Or maybe the demons just knew, hey, we got to lead Sam this way because.
Yeah.
Because it's important.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it did seem like some of the demons also, like, whatever this end was, they didn't know what it was. They were still willing to die for it.
Yeah. Like soldiers.
So that could be. Right.
So she does say they're going to break the final seal. But when Sam asks what the final seal is, she says she doesn't know. And he tries torturing her again. She begs to die. And Sam is about to kill her, but Ruby stops him in case she's lying and they need her. Or maybe he wasn't going to kill her, but like exorcise her.
Mm-hmm.
And then the demon and Ruby go back and forth, kind of throwing, insults out at each other. And the demon says she thinks she'll take a siesta in the subconscious. And I love this little Price is Right line.
Yes.
She's like, Cindy McKellen, RN, come on down. And she passes out. And then the girl slowly comes to and she asks where she is and starts freaking out and calling for help. And Sam is like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, we were like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Not cool. Not cool. And we haven't seen this happen really, like
where the demon's still inside her.
Right. Yeah. But they like hand the reins over to the human.
Right.
It was weird.
Mm-hmm.
And this poor thing, like you could really see just how scared she was. Like she's like kind of talking to herself at first because she doesn't see Sam and Ruby. And she's like, oh my God, where am I? Oh my God, I can't move. What is happening? She's like slowly, like really freaking out.
Yeah. And then she turns to Sam and is asking for him for help,
Yes.
And Ruby just looks annoyed. She's just like, oh, fuck. We got to deal with this now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
maybe that's why. So maybe that means that the demon nurse didn't know. Because if she had been trying to help Ruby, she wouldn't have done that to complicate things.
Ooh, that's true. That is true. I thought about that too. Like, why
make this so much harder for Sam?
Why make this so much harder?
If she didn't know that he needed to do something.
Yeah. Because I thought about that later on. Like, why... If Ruby knows that St. Mary's Convent is the right place, why do they have to keep the body? But then I hadn't realized until later that it's because they needed her blood.
Right.
But yeah, that's a good point. So we go back to St. Mary's Convent in 1972, and the priest is walking through all of the dead nuns. And he says, he drops to his knees and he starts praying, and he says he's got the bag full of nuns and asks if Lucifer can whisper through the door now. And the candles flicker, and then the body of a nun lying on the altar like regains breath and starts twitching. And in this creepy like mixture of a male and female voice starts to say, I'm here, my son. Oh my God. I mean, no, we know it's like they haven't actually said the name Lucifer.
Mm-mm.
but we know it's him, right? Like throughout this entire
Right.
thing. So it's like, ooh!
Shit. That's the devil talking through this dead nun.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So Azazel says the others have lost faith and asks how he can bust him out. And Lucifer says, Lilith. Azazel is like, what? Lilith? She's trapped deep in the pit. It won't be easy. And Lucifer says, Lilith can break the seals. And then Azazel asks what he can do to help. And Lucifer says he needs to find a child, a very special child. Which I was
You
like,
don't say.
they call them special children also, which I love.
Yeah. They're special.
Yeah. And he's like, okay, tell me everything. And so whatever plan is coming about, well, and we can kind of see, right, what's all forming here. And I was very appreciative of this, although I think talking through it, we found a little bit of a issue, right, Christine, with it. But yes, now the Lucifer and Special Children
Yeah.
story is connecting. But what was the point?
Yeah, there was a little bit of an issue, but
right. What was the point of? I don't know. Maybe we're overthinking it. Maybe there was a point to just finding all the different special children and finding the right
I
one.
can't imagine what that would be, though. I mean, especially considering like what Ruby tells Sam at the end, it makes it sound like he was really the only one who mattered. So I don't know. I can't really reconcile that. And it's also, I think I also know that there probably isn't a point to it because they've kind of admitted that they didn't know where they were going at first with it.
Yeah, like at the end of season 2, we had read that they had admitted like, fuck, well, we didn't know what we were doing with this, but they're definitely trying to pull it all together, and for the most part it does work.
Yeah, so maybe that's just like one thing where they were like, well, let's just pretend that didn't happen.
Right.
We got to let that one go.
It was all for funsies or something. Yeah. Azazel just found it so fun to do that to kids and, and their mothers.
He just got a kick out of it.
So he just started doing them.
Yeah.
So we see present day, Sam has found an article all about this priest disemboweling the nuns. And he says that in the article that the priest even remembers the demon that had possessed him as Azazel. And Ruby's like, what? Like Lilith, Azazel, all of the A-listers have gravitated there. So this must be the spot with the last seal. She says they need to get a move on. And Sam tries to convince her to leave the nurse and get another demon. But Ruby says it's all an act, though Sam doesn't believe that. And I don't believe it either. I mean, I really believe, you know, this poor human girl is coming through.
Same. That's what I think too. It's not an act, Ruby.
Mm-mm. And she tells him, it's not like you haven't done this before, right? And I hadn't caught on to like exactly what she was talking about, but fuck, that's true. Sam has been drinking demon blood. Tell me, I was trying
to think of it. Oh.
Well, because the reason they're taking that girl is so that he can drain her of demon blood.
Right.
But
I thought she meant like, kidnapping an innocent woman and putting her in the trunk of your car.
I thought so too, right? At first.
I was like, no, he hasn't done this before.
But now I'm like,
this is not normal.
No, she's right. He has killed humans before by drinking their blood. And the only difference is this girl is at full consciousness and she can scream and yell, and
she's not the demon personality.
Right.
It feels icky.
It feels really icky.
I had something else. Oh yeah, I was going to say that watching this the second time around, knowing that Ruby is a fake bitch, her scenes were really interesting because I could pick up on her insincerity. Mm-hmm. So like now, like this scene over again, she's like saying like, it's just an act. Like it's obvious now that you're saying that because you're like desperate for him to get to the end. Like you're just trying to say whatever you
Whatever
think will
might
make him
work.
feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you don't believe that either. You're just saying that because
Yeah.
it'll hopefully make him feel better and help you get to the end. Um, and then there was another scene too later. Where Sam is researching the convent.
Right.
So that scene will remind me too. There's something specific she says, and I don't remember what it is, but you'll probably have it in there.
Oh, well, we just passed that scene.
Oh, we did?
Yeah. When he's like, he read that article about the convent and this priest who was like, oh, maybe the part where she's like, oh, Azazel and Lilith, like they're all going there. She says something
Yeah.
like that.
So, yes. So when she's like standing at like she's turned around, like away from him, her face is kind of like, oh shit, for a second.
Yes. Yes.
And
It's
then she has to turn around and be like, oh, well, Azazel and Lil, like, oh, they're bringing out all the big ones or whatever. So she just kind of like tries to brush it off, but it seems a little staged, like a little fake from her.
like maybe she thought in that moment, like, oh, this is going to tip him off that that there's a little bit more to all of this or something like
And
that.
she's got to try and cover it up.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, it is interesting watching this episode after knowing everything because they definitely did plant those little clues there.
Yeah. And so I thought that must have been interesting for her to try and act too, Genevieve.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like you're trying to act both ways. Like you're trying to make it seem to someone who hasn't seen this before like you're trustworthy, but
Mm-hmm.
then to someone who has seen it already that, that there are clues, there are little
Yeah.
ways in which you crack to like show that you're not trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be
Yeah.
really hard.
It was really,
But she does a good job.
yeah, it was really well done. So Sam walks the nurse to the car as she begs for him to let her go. And she tells him her name, her husband's name, basically like all the stuff that you're supposed to do when like you're being kidnapped, right? You're supposed to kind of like create
Yeah.
this this
Yes,
idea of a
humanize
human.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And Sam,
Oh, it was so hard to watch.
I
This
know.
this scene, getting her in the car. Sorry.
Yes, and it's
Anyway.
so hard for Sam because he opens the car trunk and she screams no when she realizes that he's going to put her in there. And he just shoves her in there and closes it and he just looks so upset.
He looks like shaken. He's like visibly like shaken and like panting, and his face is just like he's just in agony. Like, fuck, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Ugh, I can't. You're kidnapping this woman.
You are, yeah. And he realizes that, he hasn't had to deal with this before.
Oh, John said he's going to get me a Devil's Trap car mat for my trunk.
That would be awesome.
I
Because,
know.
yeah, there is a devil's trap in there.
Yeah. And I'll be like, yeah, no, I don't put demon bodies in my trunk.
Right.
Just groceries.
So, in the green room, Dean knocks down a porcelain statue, which shatters. He's just doing it just to fuck around. But it's funny
He's
because I
bored.
got so confused because Cass appears behind him and he's like, you called? So I was like, did this statue like represent Cass or something? Was that like him calling Cass? Or I don't know. I didn't get a good look at what the statue was, but that would be hilarious. Dean says he wants Cass to take him to Sam, but Cass tells him no. And Dean realizes just then that he's like trapped there. They're keeping him there. And he starts to walk to the door, but then is stopped. And when he turns back, there's no door. And he turns back again, no Cass. Ugh, so
Damn it.
good.
Mm-hmm.
So we see Sam and Ruby are driving, and Sam is staring at the notification of Dean's voicemail, but he won't play it, which Ruby teases him about. The girl is screaming and banging in the trunk. And Sam says he wishes she would shut up, which I thought was really cold of him to say that. Like, I get it,
Yeah, I thought so too.
but the
It was
way
kind
he
of
said
weird.
it, the way he said it was like, I
Yeah,
don't
I don't
know.
know. I don't know if he's just trying to like seem cool, like he's got it more together than he does.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah. So Ruby says that can be arranged, which Sam gets really offended by. And he says he's about to drink a demon dry while the girl watches. But Ruby points out it's no different than usual, which she's right. She's totally right.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. And then Sam says he's starting to think that Dean was right about everything. And
Hmm.
Ruby, to kind of like get him back on track, is like, says, we're going to see this through, right, Sam? So she's just like, no, let's just focus. We gotta do this. I was gonna say something about this scene. Oh, the voicemail. Well, I think we'll get more into that voicemail, but like in this moment though, where Dean, Sam is just staring at Dean's voicemail, and Ruby kind of she's teasing him about it, but in a way that I thought like encourages him to play it. And I was kind of surprised
Totally.
at that. Like
She was like trying to get him to listen to it.
right, which I
I was kind of surprised by that too,
have a lot
but
of thoughts
I
on.
then wondered because the voicemail ended up changing, like they tricked him. I wonder if she was just like, fuck it at this point. Like maybe she knew that they would change it or something.
I don't know what she knows, as far as
Yeah,
like
I don't either. Because
I
I
guess
assume that was actually something done by the angels, but I don't know. Like, who did that?
right. So I just wanted to point that out, and then let's talk about it more when we get to like the change.
Okay.
So back in the green room, Dean is breaking a wall like with like I guess it's a candlestick or something or another
Hmm.
statue, but he like and we're oh god, this fucking episode is just so well directed like you said because like the camera is moving back and forth with the actual statue that he's like banging, and he goes back for the fourth hit, but then like we see him all startled and the camera moves back to the wall and it's completely fixed.
Yeah.
So it's like some fucking magic right here.
So cool.
And in this moment we get a son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch.
So Zach appears behind him and Dean tells him to let him go. But Zach says it's too dangerous, which Dean calls total bullshit on. He's like, you've had me out here in the field. I could have died at any time. And now you're saying that it's too dangerous for me to be out there? You're lying. Which I love. Dean's very smart. He asks why he can't see Sam and how is he going to ice Lilith. And Zach says he's not. Lilith is going to break the final seal. And then Dean starts to argue that him and Sam can stop it, but then realizes, wait, you don't want to stop it, do you? And Zach says, nope, never did. He says the apocalypse is coming and they had to lie to the angels fighting the war who were trying to break the seals, trying to stop the demons from breaking the seals because it was easier that way. He says, would we really let 65 seals get broken unless senior management wanted it that way?
That part made me feel really dumb because he's
No,
totally right. But he's
I,
right.
but
We're
I,
talking
but
about God here. Are we really supposed to just assume that they bungled 65 seals being broken in a very short period of time?
But I
Probably not.
didn't you say something like you had kind of even thought about that?
Yeah.
Like, why was it
Yeah, like I
so?
suspected what like yeah, like really are you this incompetent? I didn't carry that thought far enough into like mistrust,
Mm-hmm.
but it was definitely weird.
It's
He's like, aren't
really
you guys like angels in heaven and shit? How are you not able to take care of this? Don't give me that bullshit. You know, you're
Mhm.
omnipotent.
Right.
God is. He can do whatever.
It's really interesting too because we know when Cass is suddenly taken away, right? In that episode, the rapture, they go to this scene, this warehouse where there has obviously been some sort of big fight.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of say something like, this doesn't look like a normal demon angel fight.
No,
They,
yeah, I think they talked about it later in the episode too, that it was an angel on angel fight.
yeah. So presumably, like the angels, the higher, senior management is also like fighting against their own folks as well. Um, and then can you remind me, like, what was Uriel's deal? He was trying to get Lucifer out also, right?
Yeah.
But I felt like he was just acting on his own.
Yeah, he kind of made it seem that way. And he kind of also made it seem like he wanted to do that because he like hated humans,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like hated humanity. So it was more like he's on the side of the demons
Yeah,
almost.
that's true. Where Zach, and in this moment, Dean asks, why did they do that? And Zach says, heaven will win and it will be paradise on earth. So Zach isn't like all for Lucifer. He's just like, we're going to fucking kill him and win against him. And then all this angel, demon, good versus evil shit is going to end. And it'll just be back to the way it was initially. So it's at this point that the paintings have changed in the room and they're all like apocalypsy, like super creepy, war between angels and demons and stuff.
I also noticed something the second time around that I wanted to mention. And it was at this point too that the tint on the camera changed.
Hmm.
Before it was like kind of golden and warm and like nice in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the tint changed and it was cold. It was almost kind of like green blue. So
That's really
that was an
interesting.
interesting shift. Yeah.
Yeah. So Zach does admit that a lot of people will die. And Dean, he glances at a statue and he's basically like thinking of bashing Zach's skull in, which Zach advises against. Um, and Dean asks about Sam, that he won't stop quietly. And Zach says, don't worry, Sam has a part to play, though he may need a little nudging in the right direction, but I'll make sure he plays it. So when he said that, I felt like that was our clue that he had
Oh,
changed the
yes.
voicemail.
Yes. He's totally the one who did it. You're right.
And that makes sense to me only because I don't know that Ruby would have that power. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I felt like if it was coming from the other side, it would have had to be someone like on Lucifer's level or something, like way more
Yeah.
like important with
Right.
more power. So, yeah, I assumed it was on the angel side, but that makes sense. It's totally him.
Mm-hmm. So Dean asks what he means, and we see a shot of the two of them standing face to face in front of a painting of Michael, the Archangel Michael, fighting Lucifer. And it does mention in Supernatural Wiki that the painting is Saint Michel Terrasson, le Dragon.
Okay.
That is 3 semesters worth of French right there. By 15th century Flemish painter Jules Lieferinks. Sure. But I I just wanted to note that it's a really interesting painting. And Zach does kind of like point to it when he's talking to Dean about this next point. And I think it's a really interesting like correlation of what's happening right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Zach says he has larger concerns. They weren't lying about his destiny. Dean is chosen. Dean will stop it. Not Lilith or the apocalypse, but Lucifer. And then he like glances at the painting and kind of gestures towards it. And he says, and when you win, your rewards will be unimaginable. He says, peace, happiness, 2 sluts and 70 virgins. And Dean
Again,
asks,
the weird immorality of this angel.
I know. And Dean asks, where's God in all this? And Zach says, God has left the building and disappears. So this next scene, these next few scenes actually at the convent kind of confused me. We go there. It's actually a really creepy exterior. Like,
yeah.
Did you watch The Page Master?
I
when you were a
love The
kid?
Page Master.
It's so
Such a good movie.
good. I cannot wait to show it to my kids.
Oh, yeah.
And it reminded me of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde's castle.
Their mansion.
The big mansion.
It was like a cross between a mansion and a castle. It was awesome.
Yeah. It was really creepy.
Yeah.
So we see a night guard walking down that same corridor, and Lilith appears behind him. She's all creepy. And then 2 demons grab him and struggle with him. So I assume that he's like his blood is the one that's in the cup that demon later on brings. But otherwise,
yeah.
I didn't really know the purpose of this night guard being brought.
Yeah, that's probably it. He served his purpose there.
Right. So back in the green room, Dean is trying to call Sam again, but now he can't even get through like at all. And Cass says he's out of his coverage zone, which the Supernatural Wiki does like make mention that it's kind of a fuck up right there in that moment, because Cass is often portrayed as having little understanding of humanity, but he understands like what coverage zones are, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's funny.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it just because it maybe showed that he's like learned that much more about humanity since he's been on Earth.
Perhaps he's learned about cell phones.
Yeah. And also like that it kind of tells us more that he's not on Earth, maybe.
Yeah. No, I did like that line because it's like, ooh, yeah, he's in a realm outside of the mortal for sure.
Right.
So, Dean asks, what are the angels going to do to Sam? But Cass says he's going to do it himself, which doesn't really answer anything. And Cass says that the 2 of them, meaning Dean and Cass, have been through a lot together, and he's really sorry. And Dean punches Cass, and it sounds like he punched like Iron Man.
Yeah, it was like clunk.
Yeah. And Dean
his head like barely
away.
moves.
No, I know. And Dean turns away to like deal with the pain. But once he's got a handle
I
on
loved that face too.
Yeah.
He was like, his mouth was like kind of quivering for a second. He was like, so painful.
He says that Cass needs a bigger word than sorry at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And Cass tries to tell him that it's destiny and all this, but Dean says that it's all a lie to keep them in line. And we get this next son of a bitch.
Don't give me that holy crap. Destiny, God's plan. It's all a bunch of lies, you poor stupid son of a bitch.
That sounded a little Texas to me.
Yeah, it did a little. You're probably right.
That was very Texas coming out right there. So Dean, which he's obviously like taken Bobby's word of advice at this point. He's saying, you know, family is worth dying for. And Cass says all he sees on Earth is pain, and that he and Sam will live in peace after this. And Dean says he knows he was going to warn them before he was dragged to Bible camp. Dean tells him to please take him to Sam, but Cass says he'll die. And Dean says, if there's anything worth dying, it's this. And we get, like, right after the other one, another son of a bitch right here.
You spineless, soulless son of a bitch.
But Cass disappears.
Yeah, they like break up, kind of.
They do. A
Because
little
Dean's
bit.
just like, we're done. And Cass gets kind of sad looking, which was interesting.
Mm-hmm. It was interesting that Cass did say, like, you and me have been together, have been through a lot together.
Yeah.
You know, like
it's like he values their relationship.
He does. He does. And we haven't really seen that from Cass. Maybe we saw it a little bit, like a couple episodes ago when Dean was like, you and me are done. And then Cass agrees to help him out, right? And like kind of gives him a clue to what's going on. But other than that, like, Cass has been kind of alternating back and forth between being just a soldier and being somebody that Dean can actually trust. So outside of St. Mary's Convent, Sam is pacing around. Ruby tells him to hurry up as she holds a knife, but Sam says to give him a minute. He listens to Dean's voicemail, which has changed, and now it says, "Listen to me, you blood-sucking freak. Dad always said I'd either have to save you or kill you. Well, I'm done trying to save you. You're a monster, Sam, a vampire. You're not you anymore, and there's no going back."
Ugh. It was awful. Everything he didn't want to hear.
I know. What was really interesting, though, was Dad did say he's going to have to try and save him or kill him.
Oh.
Remember?
Yeah.
In season 2, like right on his deathbed or whatever?
Shit.
I know.
That's totally what he meant.
Mm-hmm.
So we were getting down to this.
So Sam has some watery eyes after he listens to that.
His face, he's just like tortured.
Mm-hmm. And he sighs, and Ruby gets a smirk on her face. So it's that point that I kind of wanted to bring that up again.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Supernatural Wiki says that at Comic-Con 2009, Kripke refused to elucidate on whether it was Zachariah or Ruby who changed Dean's voicemail message to Sam. I completely think that it's Zachariah because I don't think that Ruby had that power. I don't think that she had that capability, and I think Zach kind of alluded to that already. But
I agree with you. I think it was.
But it was just interesting that like Ruby was okay with Sam listening to that voicemail, right? And she was kind of encouraging him to do it. And obviously she can hear like what is being said because she has like demon hearing, but and maybe that's just what the reaction is, but I don't know. It's interesting. Like it makes me kind of think like, did she know that this was coming? Or
who were all the people that you listed who Kripke didn't want to say? It was Ruby and Zach and somebody else?
No, just Zachariah and Ruby.
Oh. Yeah, I tend to think it's Zach.
Yeah. I guess it just kind of like it opens up the possibility. Now I don't personally believe this, but it opens up the possibility that the angels and demons were working together in some way.
Yeah, that's another thought that's kind of been forming. Because me thinking that like if she was encouraging him to listen to the voicemail because she knew it was going to be changed. She didn't have to worry about that.
Right. But I don't know. Like if I believe that they were in cahoots, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's going to be part of the discussion for next episode because of some of the other things I've learned about, like outside of this episode, or, you know, don't know. I've got thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to look at what we've learned in season 4 as a whole together.
Mm-hmm. And just what I've learned about the show.
Right. Yeah. At the Supernatural Convention and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he tells her, go ahead and do it. And she goes back to the trunk and we hear the girl scream.
Shit. No.
I know.
No.
I know. Dark, dark, dark. So in the green room, Dean is finally about to eat a burger, but he doesn't get a chance to take a bite because Cass grabs him and pins him to the wall. He pulls out a blade and looks Dean in the eye, and Dean nods his head. And Cass takes the knife and cuts himself.
The demon blade.
He smears... I think it's the demon blade, yeah. He smears his blood on the wall to create a symbol, and Zach appears to try and stop him, but it's too late. Cass slams his palm to the symbol, and Zach disappears.
That was awesome.
He says that... I know, so fucking cool. And he says that Zach won't be gone too long, but they have to find Sam. He doesn't know where he is, but he knows someone who might. They have to find Sam before he kills Lilith, since Lilith is the final seal. Holy fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was cool the way he says it too. Like, I think, did Dean ask him a question? Like, we have to find Sam before he kills Lilith. And Cass was like, how do they say that? Because he ends up revealing it like, no, Lilith is the final seal.
Yeah.
Basically.
It was like, oh, okay. Dean's like, where is he? Cass is like, I don't know, but I know who does. We have to stop him, Dean, from killing Lilith. And Dean says, but Lilith's going to break the final seal. And Cass is like, Lilith is the final seal. She dies. The end begins.
Yes. Damn.
Fuck! It was good, man.
Mm-hmm.
This episode was good.
And this is where it starts like really ramping up. Like, okay, Cass shows up. He's on a roll. And from here, it's just like, you're on a ride now. We're taking the ride has left the station. Train has left the station.
I checked the time mark and it was like 10 minutes left. So like all of like the action is just packed into the last 10 minutes. It's crazy.
That is crazy. It's good.
So we jump to Chuck talking on the phone, trying to like order some girls. He asks for 20 girls for the whole night.
Fuck. I was like, but really, this is what you do with your last night?
I know. And the girl on the other end is like, sir, I don't think you can afford that. And he's like, sometimes you got to live like there's no tomorrow. Because of course we know this is what he had seen in his vision, that Zach was like, you can't tell Sam and Dean. Mm-hmm. But just then Cass and Dean appear and he gets off the phone. So at the convent, a demon brings Lilith a goblet of blood. She tells him not to be afraid. And she turns away. And then all the demons suddenly drop dead in the corridor. And Sam and Ruby turn around the corner. And Lilith shuts the door against them. Sam, of course, looking pretty smug with himself again.
Once again.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if like this whole goblet of blood thing, all the demons there, if that was necessary or if it was just all a stage, a
for show.
Yeah.
I wondered that too. It might be for show. Because they didn't use that blood. Those guys weren't going to be needed. None of that was going to be needed. So maybe just
to make it seem like when Sam arrived on there, he wasn't like, oh, this is too easy. This is weird.
Right.
Although it was fucking easy for him. He dropped fucking 10 demons with the wave of his hand.
Yeah, what the fuck?
But because he had just drank that entire girl's body.
Right.
Dry.
Right.
Essentially.
And whatever Ruby could give. He's like all pumped up.
Yeah.
Max pumped.
Mm-hmm. So at Chuck's, Chuck has told Cass and Dean that Sam will be at St. Mary's Convent. And all of a sudden, a bright white light appears. The house starts shaking. And Cass says it's the Archangel. Although he doesn't say who
No.
Um,
And does he say archangels? Plural?
I don't.
I couldn't tell, really.
Let me see the transcript. I thought he just said the one. It's the archangel, so
Weird.
just one. So I thought that was odd. I didn't know if it was supposed to be
Michael?
like
Or somebody?
Michael or who?
Who?
Yeah,
There are
like
multiple archangels.
yes.
Yeah, that's weird.
Um, he tells Dean he'll send him to Sam and hold this off, and he touches Dean's forehead to teleport him to St. Mary's Convent. And we do see like just Chuck and Cass
That was
standing together side by side.
Yeah. That was such a cool effect. And also,
Oh, fuck yeah.
Cass kind of like sacrifices himself. He's like, I'll hold them off. I'll hold them all off. And then like
Yeah.
smacks Dean's forehead and like pushes him basically, and he gets shoved into this other place.
He just like with the just that he's at the convent.
It was
It's
so
like,
cool.
Cassie, you could have helped us out like this entire time. Seriously. We could have saved so much time here.
Yeah.
Traveling in the car.
Yeah. And then once again, it kept that really cool feeling of like, okay, we're on this ride because now you're with Dean and he's somewhere else and he's looking around like, okay, now what do I do? Like he's on high alert, like, you know, going on to the next thing, like just rolling with the crazy events that are happening. You know, can't think about the fact that Cass is back there battling archangels or whatever.
Right. And Chuck.
Poor Chuck, stuck in the middle. What the fuck?
And he does try to like, I don't know, like try to bond with
Yeah.
Cass in his final moments or something, because he puts his hand on Cass's shoulder, which Cass looks at him like, what
Are you
fuck
doing?
are you doing?
So funny.
So Sam breaks the door open and slams Lilith into the altar with his powers. And Dean appears around the corner and Ruby spots him. And she uses her powers? Question mark, question mark, question mark, to shut the door?
Yeah. I don't know.
Ooh, she's never done that before.
No.
And, well, I guess
she
can
moved
demons
stuff?
do that?
Well, demons can do that because that's like the shit that like as Alistair does and some of these people, they like throw them around, right?
But he's like a higher level demon, you know?
Yeah, I don't think we may not have seen her do it at all.
So I kind of wonder if like maybe she's been kind of rewarded or something with these higher level powers because of all the work that she's done. I don't know.
Yeah. How is she
But
able
she's
to do
been
that?
keeping it. I don't know. So Sam says he's been waiting for this for a very long time. And then we start hearing his heart beating hard.
Oh, it's like thumping.
Yes. And he raises his hand and a light glows in her chest and neck. But he stops when he hears Dean's voice, and it's kind of like in the distance, it's in slow motion. And we see that Dean is banging on the door. And then we see Ruby in slow motion yelling at him. Like, what are you waiting for, Sam? Now. And then Lilith starts laughing, and it's completely disorienting for him. It's like his blood is in his ears right now.
It's so weird. I mean, it's disorienting for us too, because then she starts laughing and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And she starts teasing him. You've turned yourself into a monster, a freak, and now you're not even going to bite? And that, she knew exactly what to say, right? Because then Sam raises his hand and his eyes turn all black.
Yes. Yes, they do.
Like he turns like demon level, and the light appears again within her and he kills her. And
it takes a few tries. That was interesting too. Couldn't just do it.
It does. It was a good effect too. And then he kills her, and then we hear his heartbeat slow, and so things come back to normal. Okay. And then my favorite part. Blood starts to trickle from Lilith's body, and Sam is like, what the fuck is going on? And Ruby says, you did it. And Sam asks, what did he do? And Ruby says, you opened the door and he's free at last. And Sam's like, no, I stopped her. She's dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
I killed her.
But no.
I saved the day. And Ruby's like, and it is written that the first demon will be the last seal, and you bust her open.
And Sam's like realizing it as she's saying that, and he like grabs his head and he's like, fuck, what are you saying right now?
Freaking out.
Yeah.
Yes. And the blood starts to form a ring and starts to trickle again toward the middle. So it's like it's moving on its own volition.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we get this great rant from Ruby.
No one knew I was the best of those sons of bitches. The most loyal. Not even Alistair knew. Only Lilith. Yeah, I'm sure you're a little angry right now, but I mean, come on, Sam. Even you have to admit, I'm awesome.
You bitch. You lying bitch.
Shit. I'm awesome.
I'm awesome. Kind of are, Ruby.
I mean, yeah.
Genevieve.
All the demons think you're
Genevieve.
really awesome.
You're fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And Sam's so pissed, you lying bitch. I mean, yeah, she's been lying to him for 2 years. She's been stringing him along.
You fucked her.
And you fucked her.
Mm-hmm.
And holy shit.
Yeah, that's like the ultimate deception. Pretty.
And he raises his hands to her, but
yeah,
he drops to the floor instead. He's totally weak. Yeah. And she says it's useless since he used up his powers on Lilith. And he accuses her of poisoning him, but she says no. This was because of like your choices. And she's right.
Yeah, shit. Yeah. He had plenty of chances to get out and have Dean help him and fight back, and he didn't do it.
She put all of the options out there for him, she says. And totally, and he's the one that made that decision. And she says everything Lilith and Azazel did just to get him there. And he says, like, why him? And she says, because it had to be him. It always had to be him. And Lucifer is going to repay Sam in ways he can't imagine.
That's very interesting. It always was him.
It always had to be him. I definitely want your prophecies on that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to think about what I think that means. What does it mean?
What does it mean? So Dean finally breaks through the door and she says he's too late. And then, this fucking time, like Sam grabs her arms behind her and Dean plunges the demon knife inside of her.
Yes.
It's very satisfying.
Yeah.
It's a very satisfying death. Like just them working
I
together
loved it.
to kill her.
And Dean was so cool too. She's like, you're too late. And he's like, I don't care. And just like walks up to her. And then Sam grabs her immediately and he just like keeps walking with the knife right into her.
Mm-hmm.
It was really swift.
Yes. That just there brought them together immediately.
Yeah. Did we just become best friends?
Exactly. So she drops to the ground and Sam looks at Dean. Oh, tears in his eyes. And he says he's sorry. And then the blood reaches each other, like all of it converges into the middle. And then a white light shoots up. And Sam grabs onto Dean and says he's coming. And the whole room fills with light. And the scene fades to white, which usually it fades to black.
Yeah.
This time it's white.
And they were both like clinging to each other.
Again.
Yeah, I have goosebumps too. But they both like, yeah, fuck. They both like grabbed each other's jackets and they're like pulling on each other. Like, oh my God.
Yes.
And as soon as they were like, they started to have kind of like a kumbaya moment. And then the light came on and I was like, guys. Hey guys. There's
something's happening here.
A Lucifer starting to show up.
So fuck. Yes, literally goosebumps. And it's such a great ending.
Yeah, it was very good.
It has to be my favorite. I don't know. Season 5 ending is pretty good too, but fuck. I love this ending. Might be even better on my list. But such a great episode overall. We get 3 misty eyes from Sam. I thought I was so close. The last one was so close to like actual tears, but I think what happened was they cut to another shot, and he must have like, you know, wiped his tears away or something, Jared, and
so it came back and
it was like a different
teary.
Yeah. And then 3 sons of a bitches from Dean. But oh my god, I'm so happy. Season 4 was real great.
It was excellent. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There were only a few episodes I didn't like that much, and that's saying a lot because there were 22 episodes in this season.
Yeah,
it was really, really good, and this episode was really, really good, and I'm excited for season 5.
I'm excited as well. So as far as ranking, Christine, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm fighting myself on whether it should be number 1 or number 2.
Honestly, I am too. So we have Mystery Spot at number 1.
Mm-hmm. And right now we have Lazarus Rising as number 2. So just to give you an idea, listeners, of what we're looking at. But like this episode got top scores and almost everything for me, you know, like the directing, the acting, you know, from Jensen and Jared to Demon Nurse. It was all so good.
Yeah.
The plot, just the fact that they pulled Azazel and Lucifer, that plot together.
Yeah, that's
was
true.
really impressive.
I'm kind of thinking more about Mystery Spot, and I'm gonna just make a small case for that staying at number 1. Let's see what you think.
Okay.
I remember everything about Mystery Spot, and I don't feel like I'm gonna remember everything about this episode moving forward. Mystery Spot was a lot more humorous at times, but the juxtaposition between that and how deeply sad and like kind of destructive some of the things were that were happening with Sam and between them really stood out. I don't know. But
no, I mean, it kind of points to the fact that I think I told you right before we started watching this episode that like I actually didn't I don't remember all that happens in this episode, or I didn't remember all that happens in this episode. I just remember the ending and that being so great. But even then, because No Rest for the Wicked was very similar, but even then I feel like this ending and the episode, everything that happens before then was so much more and more impactful than season 3 ending. But I can see what you're saying there, where it's like Mystery Spot, you're always going to remember.
I remember everything,
every little detail.
Yeah,
episode, right.
But I don't know. I mean, I could still be convinced to bump it down because it wasn't. I mean, it was important and even kind of important in the long run because the things that happened in that episode affected them for a long time. But it wasn't necessarily like a huge part of the overall plot. So this in that sense, was huge for the overall plot,
Mm-hmm.
this episode.
Yes, it's actually very huge.
So we could put it at number 1 and I would be happy with that. We could put it at number 2 and I'd be fine with
kind of feel the same way.
that.
Mainly, I guess, because there is a lot of exposition in this episode. You know, it's not showing us everything that's happening. It's telling
Mhm.
us everything that's going to happen. It's only showing us at the very ending.
Right.
I think,
Yeah.
and even though it's still effective in a sense, it wasn't as effective maybe as it could have been. So I guess that fact kind of makes me sway more to number 2.
I would be just fine with that. It still kind of feels like Mystery Spot should be number 1 for some reason.
Yeah. No, yeah, it does. And I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity to look at that later on and see how we feel if
that's still,
because this list, it should really represent, like, at least at the top of the list, the ones that really stick with us.
Yeah. Because those are our favorites.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Well, then that means that Lucifer Rising is going in as a new number 2. This one's going in the trunk.
Dang. It was up there.
Oh, wow. Wow. So, how very exciting. We have a lot of great things to talk about in our season 4 finale wrap-up episode. If you guys have not already, please send us your thoughts through the survey. That is at bit.ly/highway S4 survey. Highway is spelled HWY, S4 survey. All of that is lowercase, FYI, because capitalization does matter, unfortunately, with those bit.ly links. So it's Highway S4 survey. We're also going to be posting it on our social media again, as a last reminder to send us your thoughts, and we'll read your thoughts and your comments on our next episode, where we will discuss season 4 as a whole and get ourselves ready to head into season 5, which should be lots of fun.
Yeah, I'm really gonna have to make like a list of things I want to talk about.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start listing stuff. I'm thinking, as far as the survey goes, well, we haven't really like talked about the next time we'll record, but I'll say this is coming out Monday. I'll say, like, try and get your thoughts in by Wednesday or something. So
that we can take it into account and
those,
talk about it on the wrap-up episode.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Well, you can find us, of course, on highwaytohellpodcast.com and email us at highwaytohellpodcast@gmail.com. Find us on all the social medias at Highway to Hell Podcast. And that's pretty much it. Guys, we will see you to talk about season 4 as a whole. And until next time, we'll see you on the Highway to Hell.
Bye.
Bye.